Are you a fast eater, and do you wonder if that is possibly causing you to gain weight? In this video, I'm going to show you how to eat slowly in order to lose weight. It really does make a difference. So make sure that you pay attention to all the steps that I'm going to show you and start implementing them at your next meal, and you will see a difference. So let's get started. Now, why is eating slowly so important with weight loss? Well, the first reason why is that it takes 20 minutes for your brain to receive the signal from your stomach that it has received enough food and that it is full. That's why, if you're a fast eater, you eat your meal in 5 or 10 minutes and you feel great when you're done. And then 10 minutes later, you all of a sudden feel so full, and you just, all of a sudden, it's just so uncomfortable, and you can't figure out, well, I stopped eating a while ago. Why is that happening? It's because it takes your brain that long to register that it's time to stop eating. And then that's why you have that after effect of suddenly feeling so full, because your brain finally realizes, oh, there's so much food in there, more than I need. And that's why we have a tendency to overeat. And so overeating is a direct result of a person eating too quickly and not giving their brain time to receive the signal from their stomach. So slowing down will absolutely help that. The second reason why eating slowly is so important is it helps release hormones that will control how much you eat, whether you stop eating or whether you are still feeling hungry. So those two hormones, the hormone that is released that is the fullness hormone, that hormone is called leptin, and it will signal to your brain that you are full. If you eat too quickly, ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone, it continues to notify your brain that you are still hungry, and so you will continue to eat. So eating slowly increases the release of leptin, which tells you that you're full, and it suppresses ghrelin, which tells you you're still hungry. So both of those hormones work together, and it is important to make sure that you are eating slowly so those hormones get released in the adequate and the appropriate amounts. The third reason why eating slowly will help you lose weight and actually help you feel better, and it's better digestively, is because when people eat quickly, they take air in as they are eating because they're almost gasping, for food, and that allows them to take air in with their food, and that will cause some stomach distress because it creates gas within the stomach. So eating slowly and chewing your food sufficiently will really help. It's also shown that people who chew their food, and I would never ask you to chew your food a ridiculous amount of times, but people who chew their food an appropriate amount of times allow and already start the digestive process, and that helps the digestive process run more smoothly so people feel better and they don't result in so much stomach distress, and that helps with the digestive process and helps with how you overall feel after a meal. Okay, so how do you actually eat slowly? I'm going to tell you, I feel like I was raised by wolves because I eat so incredibly quickly. And so I have to be very, very consciously aware of slowing down and being present when I'm eating, because I can eat incredibly quickly. And I absolutely can have the same situation happen, which I talked about and referenced in the first point that I made about why we should eat slowly. I don't give my brain nearly enough time to register that I've eaten enough food. And so I can feel just fine when I stop eating. But 15 minutes later, I am so overfilled and I'm very uncomfortable. And it really signals to me that I have overeaten and I have eaten more food than my body actually needs. And so it's something I have to be very consciously aware of, and I have to work very hard to make sure that I rein myself in and I slow down my eating. And when I do, it helps significantly, because it not only helps me measure out and be able to eat the appropriate amount of food that my body needs and not put myself in an uncomfortable situation, but it also helps me maintain my weight and control my weight, and that allows me to feel more in control of my life, which is always a good thing. So how do you go about eating slowly? Well, so the first step is you have to commit ahead of time that you're going to be consciously eating, you're going to be mindful, and you're going to be present while you are eating. You have to make that commitment to yourself initially and go into it with the intent to eat slowly and to really be aware of your body's cues that it's sending you and to really be present in your own body. It's absolutely 100% necessary. Okay, step number 2. So you've given yourself the pep talk and you've committed to this is what you're going to do. So you receive your plate of food, whether you are eating with someone or you receive it at a restaurant or you've made it yourself, and you have your plate of food. The first thing you want to do is you want to visually or physically split your meal in half. You want to divide it into half, and that can be, you can either actually cut it in half, or you can in your mind kind of draw a little line and say, okay, this is my first half of the meal, this is my second half of the meal. So we've split our meal into 2 halves. You then start to eat your first half of your meal, and you follow these steps. You take small bites of food, you put your fork down. After each bite of food, you chew your food sufficiently. I'm never going to tell you how many times to chew your food, but chew your food sufficiently. Maybe have some water, maybe have a little conversation if you're eating with someone, and then take your next bite of food. But we don't take another bite of food until our mouths are empty. We don't just pile food in there, because that not only does that create that air and that gas that I talked about by taking air in as you're eating, but it also starts to lead to more mindless eating, because now you're just shoveling food in as opposed to actually tasting it, enjoying it, and going through the process of chewing it and swallowing it. So once you finish your first half of your meal, you then give yourself a 5-minute break. And what that means is that if you're by yourself, you can set a timer on your phone, or if you're eating with someone or you're eating in a restaurant and you're with a group, you just sit back, relax, have some conversation, and give yourself about 5 minutes. And once that 5 minutes is passed, you then ask yourself, okay, how do I feel? You kind of do a body inventory. How do I feel? How does my stomach feel? How am I feeling about the meal that I've had in general? And how am I feeling overall? And do I think I need more food? Wanting and needing food are 2 very different things. So, do you need more food, or do you just want it? So if you feel like you need more food and it would be a good idea to eat a little bit more, you start on your second half of your meal. You take a bite, small bite, go through the same process that you did before, and after each bite, you ask yourself, do I need more food? And so it's just being very mindful for that second portion of your meal. And when you get to the point of, I probably just want more, but I probably don't need any more, that's when it's time to stop. And at that point, what I don't want you to think is that you lose that food, because there's never a problem with leaving food on your plate. There's never a problem with packing food up and eating it later on. There's never a problem with asking for a to-go bag, no matter how small of an amount of food there is. And there's also never a problem with letting someone take your plate and you not finishing a meal. That is not an issue. And so many of us have been raised to believe that we have to clean our plates. And I'm going to tell you, you don't have to clean your plate. You get to decide. It's much better for that few bites of food to go into the garbage than for you to feel like you have to clean your plate, and that few extra bites of food keeps you exactly where you are or even causes you to gain weight. You always want to be mindful that your goals and what you want is first and foremost with you, and that sending food back or letting food be taken away is not a punishment, and it's not depriving yourself. It's making a choice of what's going to be the healthiest thing for you and what's going to help get you to your goals. That's the most important thing. So when the meal is done, it's done. You push yourself away from the table. You go and you put the dishes in the sink, My recommendation is when you have finished a meal, and this is my recommendation for any time you finish a meal, is that you put your dishes in the sink, and if you're alone or with you have family members, you immediately go outside for a 10 to 15 minute walk. Leisurely, you're not trying to exercise, it's just to change the scenery, to kind of signal to your brain and to signal to your body that the meal is over. And it also is incredibly helpful with your digestion. It actually starts the digestive process and starts things moving, and it really is incredibly healthy for you to be able to do a little bit of movement after a meal. So much better than just getting up from the table and going in and plopping down on the couch. So 10 minutes, get outside, do a little walking, get a little fresh air, and then come back, and you can finish the dishes at that time. You can put the rest of your food away, whatever it is. But it's so important to make sure that you kind of signal to yourself that the meal is over. And eating slowly, by that time, when you go for your walk, you'll also probably start to have those feelings of like, okay, now I'm feeling satisfied. Because if you stop early during your meal and you think, oh, I could probably eat a little bit more, I can promise you that 5 to 10 minutes later, you're going to be sufficiently filled. You're going to be sufficiently full. You're going to be eating, you have eaten to satisfied at that point. I hope this video has been helpful. If it has, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, Kristin Jones Coaching, for more tips on managing your emotional eating and managing overeating, losing the weight that you want, and living your best life. I'll see you in the next video.